Early the following morning, July 22nd, 2017, the president tweeted, quote, a new intelligence leak from the Amazon Washington Post, this time against AG Jeff Sessions. These illegal leaks, like Comey's, must stop! Exclamation point, end quote. Approximately 1 hour later, the president tweeted, quote, so many people are asking why isn't the AG or special counsel looking at the many Hillary Clinton or Comey crimes? 33,000 emails deleted? Later that morning, while aboard Marine One on the way to Norfolk, Virginia, the president told Priebus that he had to get Sessions to resign immediately. The president said that the country had lost confidence in Sessions and the negative publicity was not tolerable. According to contemporaneous notes taken by Priebus, the president told Priebus to say that he, quote, needed a letter of resignation on his desk immediately, end quote, and that Sessions had, quote, no choice but, quote, must immediately resign, end quote. Priebus replied that if they fired Sessions, they would never get a new attorney general confirmed and that the Department of Justice and Congress would turn their backs on the president. But the president suggested he could make a recess appointment to replace Sessions. Priebus believed that the president's request was a problem, so he called McGahn and asked for advice, explaining that he did not want to pull the trigger on something that was, quote, all wrong, end quote. Although the president tied his desire for Sessions to resign to Sessions' negative press and poor performance in congressional testimony, Priebus believed that the president's desire to replace Sessions was driven by the president's hatred of Sessions' recusal from the Russia investigation. McGahn told Priebus not to follow the president's order and said they should consult their personal counsel with whom they had attorney-client privilege. McGahn and Priebus discussed the possibility that they would both have to resign rather than carry out the president's order to fire Sessions. That afternoon, the president followed up with Priebus about demanding Sessions' resignation, using words to the effect of, did you get it? Are you working on it? Priebus said that he believed that his job depended on whether he followed the order to remove Sessions, although the president did not directly say so. Even though Priebus did not intend to carry out the president's directive, he told the president he would get Sessions to resign. Later in the day, Priebus called the president and explained that it would be a calamity if Sessions resigned because Priebus expected that Rosenstein and Associate Attorney General Rachel Brand would also resign and the president would be unable to get anyone else confirmed. The president agreed to hold off on demanding Sessions' resignation until after the Sunday shows the next day to prevent the shows from focusing on the firing. By the end of that weekend, Priebus recalled that the president relented and agreed not to ask Sessions to resign. Over the next several days, the president tweeted about Sessions. On the morning of Monday, July 24, 2017, the president criticized Sessions for neglecting to investigate Clinton and called him beleaguered. On July 25th, the president tweeted, Attorney General Jeff Sessions has taken a very weak position on Hillary Clinton crimes. Where are emails in DNC server and Intel leakers? The following day, July 26th, the president tweeted, why didn't AG Sessions replace acting FBI Director Andrew McCabe, a Comey friend who was in charge of Clinton investigation? According to Hunt, in light of the president's frequent public attacks, Sessions prepared another resignation letter and for the rest of the year carried it with him in his pocket every time he went to the White House. Analysis. In analyzing the president's efforts to have Lewandowski deliver a message directing Sessions to publicly announce that the special counsel investigation would be confirmed to future election interference, the following evidence is relevant to the elements of obstruction of justice. A. Obstructive act. The president's effort to send Sessions a message through Lewandowski would qualify as an obstructive act if it would naturally obstruct the investigation and any grand jury proceedings that might flow from the inquiry. The president sought to have Sessions announce that the president shouldn't have a special prosecutor counsel and that Sessions was going to meet with the special prosecutor to explain this is very unfair and let the special prosecutor move forward with investigating election meddling for future elections so that nothing can happen in future elections. The The president wanted Sessions to disregard his recusal from the investigation, which had followed from a formal DOJ ethics review, and have Sessions declare that he knew for a fact that there were no Russians involved with the campaign because he, quote, was there. The president further directed that Sessions should explain that the president should not be subject to an investigation because he hasn't done anything wrong. Taken together, the president's directives indicate that Sessions was being instructed to tell the special counsel to end the existing investigation into the president and his campaign, with the special counsel being permitted to, quote, move forward with investigating election meddling for future elections, end quote. B. Nexus to an official proceeding. As described above, by the time of the president's initial one-on-one meeting with Lewandowski on June 19, 2017, the existence of a grand jury investigation supervised by the special counsel was public knowledge. By the time of the president's follow-up meeting with Lewandowski, grand jury redacted. See Volume 2, Session 2G, Infra. To satisfy the nexus requirement, it would be necessary to show that limiting the special counsel's investigation would have the natural and probable effect of impeding that grand jury proceeding. C. Intent. Substantial evidence indicates that the president's efforts to have Sessions limit the scope of the special counsel's investigation to future election interference was intended to prevent further investigative scrutiny of the president's and his campaign's conduct. As previously described, see Volume 2, Section 2B, Supra, the president knew that the Russia investigation was focused in part on his campaign, and he perceived allegations of Russian interference to cast doubt on the legitimacy of his election. The president further knew that the investigation had broadened to include his own conduct and whether he'd obstructed justice. Those investigations would not proceed if the special counsel's jurisdiction were limited to future election interference only. The timing and circumstances of the president's actions support the conclusion that he sought that result. The president's initial direction that Sessions should limit the special counsel's investigation came just 2 days after the president had ordered McGahn to have the special counsel removed, which itself followed public reports that the president was personally under investigation for obstruction of justice. The sequence of those events raises an inference that after seeking to terminate the special counsel, the president sought to exclude his and his campaign's conduct from the investigation's scope. The president raised the matter with Lewandowski again on July 19, 2017, just days after emails and information about the June 9, 2016 meeting between Russians and senior campaign officials had been publicly disclosed, generating substantial media coverage and investigative interest. The manner in which the president acted provides additional evidence of his intent. Rather than rely on official channels, the president met with Lewandowski alone in the Oval Office. The president selected a loyal devotee outside the White House to deliver the message, supporting an inference that he was working outside White House channels, including McGahn, who had previously resisted contacting the Department of Justice about the special counsel. The president also did not contact the acting attorney general, who had just testified publicly that there was no cause to remove the special counsel. Instead, the president tried to use Sessions to restrict and redirect the special counsel's investigation when Sessions was recused and could not properly take any action on it. The July 19, 2017 events provide further evidence of the president's intent. The president followed up with Lewandowski in a separate one-on-one meeting 1 month after he first dictated the message for Sessions, demonstrating he still sought to pursue the request. And just hours after Lewandowski assured the president that the message would soon be delivered to Sessions, the president gave an unplanned interview to the New York Times in which he publicly attacked Sessions and raised questions about his job security. 4 days later, on July 22, 2017, the president directed Priebus to obtain Sessions' resignation. That evidence could raise an inference that the president wanted Sessions to realize that his job might be on the line as he evaluated whether to comply with the president's direction that Sessions publicly announced that, notwithstanding his recusal, he was going to confine the special counsel's investigation to future election interference. G. The president's efforts to prevent disclosure of emails about the June 9, 2016 meeting between Russians and senior campaign officials. Overview. By June 2017, the president became aware of emails setting up the June 9, 2016 meeting between senior campaign officials and Russians who offered derogatory information on Hillary Clinton as, quote, part of Russia and its government's support for Mr. Trump, end quote. On multiple occasions in late June and early July 2017, the president directed aides not to publicly disclose the emails, and he then dictated a statement about the meeting to be issued by Donald Trump Jr., describing the meeting as about adoption. Evidence. 1. The president learns about the existence of emails concerning the June 9, 2016 Trump Tower meeting. In mid-June 2017, the same week that the president first asked Lewandowski to pass a message to Sessions, senior administration officials became aware of emails exchanged during the campaign, arranging a meeting between Donald Trump Jr., Paul Manafort, Jared Kushner, and a Russian attorney. As described in Volume I, Section 4A5, Supra, the emails stated that the, quote, Crown Prosecutor of Russia, end quote, had offered to provide the Trump campaign with some official documents and information that would incriminate Hillary and her dealings with Russia, end quote, as part of, quote, Russia and its government's support for Mr. Trump, end quote. Trump Jr. responded, quote, if that's what you say, I love it, end quote, and he, Kushner, and Manafort met with the Russian attorney and several other Russian individuals at Trump Tower on June 9, 2016. At the meeting, the Russian attorney claimed that funds derived from illegal activities in Russia were provided to Hillary Clinton and other Democrats, and the Russian attorney then spoke about the Magnitsky Act, a 2012 U.S. statute that imposed financial and travel sanctions on Russian officials and that had resulted in a retaliatory ban in Russia on U.S. adoptions of Russian children. According to written answers submitted by the president in response to questions from this office, the president had no recollection of learning of the meeting or the emails setting it up at the time the meeting occurred or at any other time before the election.